The Alpha King's blood dripped onto her collarbone, mixing with the salt water still clinging to her skin. Kieran traced the ancient symbol with methodical precision, his claws extending just enough to break the surface, to make the mark permanent. The woman beneath him didn't stir, hadn't stirred since he'd found her sprawled across the sand like a gift from the gods themselves. Her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, her lips tinged blue, her hair a wild tangle of silver and seafoam green that no human had ever possessed. Beautiful, impossible, his, by right of discovery, he murmured, pressing his bleeding palm against the fresh mark. By the laws of Fang and territory, I claim you, my mate, my queen, mine for eternity. The mark flared gold, then red, then settled into her skin like it had always belonged there. The bond snapped into place with such force that Kieran gasped, his wolf howling in triumph within his chest. He could feel her now, the flutter of her heartbeat, the whisper of her dreams, the terror lurking just beneath unconsciousness. Good. She would wake soon. And when she did, her eyes flew open. 24 hours earlier, the coral throne room had never felt smaller. You will marry Prince Morrigan at the next moon cycle, her father declared, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling where bioluminescent creatures cast dancing shadows. This union will unite the northern and southern currents. It is decided. She wanted to scream. Instead, she bowed her head, silver hair floating around her face like a veil. Yes, father, but her fingers curled into fists behind her back, nails biting into palms. Prince Morrigan smiled from across the chamber, all sharp teeth and calculating eyes. He'd already started calling her my little pearl, as if she were something to be collected, displayed, possessed. She would rather die. Present pain. Searing, burning, wrong pain across her chest and shoulder. She gasped, lungs filling with air instead of water, and the sensation was so alien that she choked, coughing violently. Easy, a deep voice commanded. Hands, large, warm, impossibly gentle, turned her onto her side as she retched seawater onto marble floors. Breathe slowly. You're safe. Safe? Nothing about this was safe. She tried to speak, to demand answers, but her voice caught in her throat. The transformation wasn't complete. Her vocal cords were still adjusting, still trapped between two worlds. Don't try to talk yet. The man, and he was definitely a man, radiating power and dominance that made her instincts scream alpha, danger, submit, wrapped a thick fur around her naked body. You've been through an ordeal. She finally looked at him. Golden eyes met hers, wolf bright and possessive. He was handsome in a brutal way. Sharp jaw, dark hair, a scar cutting through one eyebrow. He wore his authority like a second skin, and there, on his palm, was a cut that matched the burning sensation on her collar. Horror flooded through her. She touched her shoulder, felt the raised skin, the symbol she didn't recognize but understood instinctively. Mate mark. Permanent. Unbreakable. What did you do? The words came out as a rasp, barely audible. His expression softened with something like tenderness. I found you on the beach, half dead. I saved you, and I claimed what the gods clearly sent to me. He cupped her face with one large hand. You're my mate now, my queen. I am Kieran Blackwood, Alpha King of the Northern Territories, and you are under my protection. She jerked away from his touch, but he caught her wrist easily. You're weak, he said, not unkindly. You need to rest, to eat. Then we'll talk. You can tell me your name, where you came from. Let me go. Her voice was stronger now, edged with the authority of her own royal blood. Kieran's eyes narrowed. You don't understand the honor I've given you. Honor? She laughed, a broken sound. You marked an unconscious woman. You bound me without permission, without even knowing who I am. I know enough. His grip tightened fractionally. I know you're mine. The door burst open. A woman entered, older, elegant, with sharp features and calculating eyes. Kieran, the council is demanding to see this mysterious woman you've brought to the castle. They have questions. They can wait. They cannot. The woman's gaze swept over her, assessing and finding her lacking. Who is she? Where did she come from? Why does she have no scent of any known pack? The council suspects nothing, Kieran growled. She is my mate, That is all they need to know. But is it? The woman, his advisor, his mother, smiled thinly. A woman with no past, no pack, no family, appears from nowhere. Convenient. She could feel them both staring at her, waiting for answers she couldn't give. The protective magic her mother had woven into her bloodline prevented her from speaking the truth about her origins. Any attempt would turn the words to water in her mouth. She began, then stopped, feeling the magic tighten around her throat. Kieran leaned closer, his expression softening. It's all right. You're safe here. Whatever you're running from. If only he knew. 18 hours earlier. The palace corridors were empty at this hour. She swam quickly, silently, her heart hammering against her ribs. Prince Morrigan's voice echoed from the previous evening. Such beautiful blood you have, my pearl. Royal, pure. With it, I could command every current, every deep-water kingdom. Don't worry. I'll only take a little at a time. He didn't want a wife. He wanted a source. She reached the grotto where the surface world kissed the ocean, the forbidden boundary. Without hesitation, she pushed upward, swimming faster than she ever had before. The transformation began the moment she broke through, her tail splitting, bones reforming, lungs burning as they learned to process air. The pain was excruciating. The last thing she remembered was the beach rising up to meet her, and thinking, freedom, at any cost. Present Kieran helped her to her feet, steadying her when her new legs wobbled. She'd never felt so vulnerable, so trapped. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She met his golden eyes and saw something there that terrified her more than Prince Morrigan's threats. Genuine care, blooming into something deeper. The mate bond was already working on him, and perhaps frighteningly on her too. "Marina," she whispered. A half-truth. Her formal name was much longer, much more revealing. "Marina." He smiled, and it transformed his harsh features. "My Marina. Welcome to your new home." Through the window she could see the ocean stretching to the horizon. Somewhere beneath those waves, they were already searching for her, and they would never stop. 3 days had passed since Marina woke in the castle, and the ocean was getting angry. Kieran stood at the war room table, studying reports from his coastal scouts. Another ship lost last night. That's 7 in 3 days. He looked up at his beta, Garrett, who stood grimly by the window. "The storms aren't natural." "No, they're not," Marina said from the doorway. Both men turned. Kieran's expression immediately softened. It always did when he looked at her now, the mate bond pulling at him like a tide. Marina hated how her own body responded, how her skin warmed under his gaze, how the mark on her shoulder tingled with awareness. This wasn't love. It was magic. Theft. "You know something about this?" Garrett's tone was sharp, suspicious. He'd never trusted her. Marina stepped into the room, her new legs still uncertain beneath her. "I know that the sea doesn't strike without reason." "Then give us the reason," Kieran said, moving toward her. He always did this, invaded her space, touched her arm, her hand, her face, as if proximity could forge genuine connection. "Tell me what you're running from, Marina. Let me protect you properly." The words rose in her throat. "I'm a princess. My betrothed is hunting me. He'll drown your entire kingdom." But they dissolved like foam on her tongue. The protective magic held firm. "I can't," she whispered, frustration bleeding through. "Can't or won't? Does it matter?" She pulled away from his touch, ignoring how the bond protested. "You didn't ask before you claimed me. Why start asking now?" Kieran's jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "Fair?" Her voice rose. "You marked an unconscious woman and call it fate. You bound me to you without permission and call it protection. Nothing about this is fair, Alpha King." The title came out like an accusation. 60 hours earlier, Prince Morrigan circled the coral throne where her father sat, his dark robes flowing like ink in water. She was seen heading toward the surface boundary. "Send the hunters." "My daughter wouldn't dare," her father began. "Your daughter," Morrigan interrupted smoothly, "is more rebellious than you credit. But don't worry. When I find her, I'll be gentle. At first." His smile was all teeth. "After all, I need her alive. Her blood is too valuable to waste." In her hiding spot behind the kelp curtains, Marina's mother pressed a hand to her daughter's empty chambers, whispering ancient words of protection and concealment. It wouldn't be enough. It was never going to be enough. Present. That night, Kieran found Marina on the castle balcony, staring at the sea. The moon hung full and heavy, turning the waves silver. "You're drawn to it," he observed, coming to stand beside her. "The ocean. Isn't everyone?" She deflected. "Not like you." He was quiet for a moment. "You look at it the way I look at the forest. Like home." Her fingers gripped the stone railing. Too close. He was getting too close to the truth. "Marina." His hand covered hers. "I know I didn't give you a choice. I know the claiming was wrong. But the bond is real now. What I feel." He stopped, struggling with words. "I'm not good at this. Politics, war, strategy, those I understand. But you," he turned her to face him, "you make me want to be better. Let me try. Let me earn what I took." For a moment, looking into his golden eyes, she almost believed him. Almost wanted to believe that this could be real, that she could have this. A mate who looked at her like she was his whole world, a life above the suffocating depths. Then the screaming started. They ran to the eastern wall. Below on the beach, creatures were emerging from the waves, twisted things with too many teeth, sent from the deep trenches where light never reached. "What are those?" Garrett demanded. Marina's blood went cold. "Shadow hunters." He sent shadow hunters. "He who?" Kieran growled, already shifting, his bones cracking and reforming. But Marina was already running, down the stairs, through the courtyard, toward the beach. She could hear Kieran shouting behind her, heard the war horns blowing, but none of it mattered. This was her fault, her kingdom attacking his, her past devouring his present. She reached the sand just as the largest hunter turned toward her. Recognition flared in its dead eyes. "Princess," it hissed, voice like grinding coral. "Prince Morrigan offers terms, return, or he sinks this land." "Marina?" Kieran's voice, human again, shocked. "Princess." She didn't turn around, couldn't face him. "Tell Morrigan I'm not his to command." The creature laughed, a sound like drowning. "You are, promised, bound by treaty older than your defiance. I'm bound to someone else now." The admission tasted like betrayal and truth mixed together. The hunter's gaze slid to Kieran, who had moved to Marina's side, possessive and protective. The Alpha King's mark, interesting, but not stronger than ancient vows. "Try me," Kieran snarled. 48 hours earlier, Marina had stood in Kieran's study, watching him sleep in his chair, exhausted from 3 days of managing his kingdom. The mate bond hummed between them, growing stronger every hour. She'd reached for a letter opener on his desk. One quick cut, and she could slice the mark from her skin. It would hurt, gods. It would hurt, but she'd be free. Her hand had trembled over her shoulder. Do it. Just do it. But when she'd pressed the blade to her skin, she'd felt Kieran's presence through the bond. Not controlling, not demanding. Just there. Steady. Solid. Safe. She'd put the knife down and hated herself for it. Present. The hunters retreated with the tide, their message delivered. Marina stood frozen as Kieran's hand closed around her arm. Not gentle this time. "My study. Now." The walk back was silent. Tense. His pack members stared as they passed, whispers already spreading. Princess, ocean, traitor. Once inside with the door closed, Kieran exploded. "A princess? You're a goddamned princess and you didn't think to mention it? I couldn't. Don't." He held up a hand. "Don't tell me you couldn't. You chose not to. Every day, every conversation, every time I asked about your past, you let me believe you were just some refugee, some victim who needed saving." His laugh was bitter. "When, all along, your royalty running from a political marriage. How very tragic. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Marina? Or is that even your real name?" She flinched. "It's part of my name." "Perfect." He turned away, hands fisted in his hair. "My mate is a liar. My mate has brought war to my shores. My mate," his voice cracked, "my mate doesn't even trust me with the truth." "You didn't give me a chance to trust you," she shot back. "You marked me while I was unconscious. You made the choice for both of us. And now we're both paying for it." Silence fell, heavy and broken. Marina touched the mark on her shoulder. His mark. "He'll come for me. Morrigan. He needs my blood for some ritual, some power grab. He'll drown your entire kingdom to get it. Kieran's shoulders straightened. Then we prepare for war. Or I leave. No. The word was absolute. You're my mate. Mine to protect. That doesn't change just because I'm angry. Even if staying destroys everything you've built. He finally looked at her, and the pain in his eyes made her chest ache. Even then, outside, thunder rolled across a cloudless sky. The ocean was calling her home. Prince Morrigan emerged from the waves at dawn, flanked by an army that turned the shore black with shadows. Marina watched from the castle battlements, Kieran's presence solid and unwavering beside her. Neither had slept. The entire night had been spent preparing, evacuating civilians inland, fortifying defenses, calling in allied packs from neighboring territories. It wouldn't be enough. She knew the power Morrigan commanded, the ancient magic he'd already begun harvesting from the deep trenches. One princess's blood wouldn't satisfy him. He wanted to drain the ocean itself of power. He's more beautiful than I expected, Kieran muttered, his voice edged with dark humor. Morrigan was beautiful. Inhumanly so, with pale skin that gleamed like pearl, hair black as deep water, and eyes that reflected nothing. He wore armor made from scales of creatures that shouldn't exist, and when he smiled up at the castle, Marina felt ice crystallize in her veins. Marina Celestine Nephira, of the Silver Current. Morrigan's voice carried on wind that tasted of salt and death. I've come to collect what was promised to me. What is mine by treaty, by law, by rights older than this kingdom of dirt and fur? Kieran growled low in his throat. She's mine by mate bond. Your claim is void. Is it? Morrigan tilted his head. Show me this mark. Marina's hand went to her shoulder, but Kieran caught it. Don't. You owe him nothing. I owe him everything, she whispered. This is my fault, my rebellion, my choice to run. She looked at Kieran, memorizing his face, the scar, the golden eyes, the way he looked at her like she was worth fighting for. Let me fix it. By surrendering, by going back to him. Kieran's grip tightened. Never. He'll sink your coastal cities, drown thousands, all because of me. Then we fight, and lose. Then we lose together. Kieran pulled her close, his forehead against hers. I claimed you without permission. Let me make one choice for both of us that's actually right. Let me choose to stand with you, no matter the cost. Marina closed her eyes, breathing him in. Pine and earth and wild things. The mate bond sang between them, stronger than it should be after only days. Wrong or not, forced or not, it had become real. But love, real love, meant sacrifice. I'm sorry, she whispered, and pushed him away. She was over the battlements before he could stop her, landing on the sand with newly practiced grace. Every wolf on the wall roared in protest, but she walked forward toward Morrigan, her head high. I'll return, she called out, on one condition. You leave this kingdom and never return. Swear it on the deep currents. Morrigan's smile widened. Done, though it hardly matters. Once I have your blood, I'll command every ocean, every tide. These land dwellers will drown whether I will it or not. Behind her, she heard Kieran shouting, heard the army mobilizing. She kept walking. She was 3 steps from Morrigan when the mark on her shoulder exploded with heat. 6 hours earlier, Marina had stood in the castle library, surrounded by ancient texts. Kieran's scholar had pulled from the archives. Mate bonds. Marks. The laws that governed them. Here, the elderly woman said, pointing to a passage. The Alpha King's mark is unique. It doesn't just claim. It transforms. The marked becomes part of both worlds, neither fully one nor the other. What does that mean? It means, child, that you're no longer just of the ocean. The scholar's eyes were knowing. You belong to the land now, too. The question is, which side is stronger? Present. The mark burned like a brand, like Kieran's claws were in her skin all over again. Marina gasped, falling to her knees on the sand. But it wasn't pain. Not exactly. It was power. The ocean responded to her call, but so did the earth, water and stone, tide and root, 2 halves of one whole converging in her blood. The mark glowed gold-bright on her shoulder, and suddenly she understood. Morrigan's expression shifted from triumph to confusion as the water around him began to disobey. His shadow hunters shrieked and dissolved, unable to maintain form in her presence. "What have you done?" he hissed. Marina stood, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of both kingdoms. "You wanted to bind me with an ancient treaty. He bound me with a mark of transformation. You chose wrong, Morrigan. I belong to neither world now. I belong to both." She raised her hands, and the ocean answered. But instead of attacking the shore, it retreated, pulling Morrigan's army back with it. The earth beneath her feet responded too, roots bursting through sand to trap the creatures that remained. "Impossible," Morrigan breathed. "You can't command both." "The mark made it possible." Kieran's voice came from behind her. He'd shifted, his massive wolf form stepping up beside her human one, two halves of a whole, just like her magic. "You wanted to steal her power. I gave her more." Through the bond, Marina felt Kieran's strength flowing into her, amplifying what she'd become. She looked at him, this alpha who had claimed her so wrongly, so arrogantly, and who now stood beside her as an equal, lending his power freely. "I'm sorry," she said, loud enough for only him to hear, "for not trusting you, for not telling you the truth. I'm sorry for not giving you the choice." His golden eyes met hers. "Let me fix that. Let me do this right. Now?" She gestured at the battle around them. Terrible timing. Best timing. He shifted back to human, standing naked and unashamed before her, before his kingdom, before the ocean itself. "Marina Celestine Nephira, I, Kieran Blackwood, ask you to be my mate, not by right of discovery, not by force of claim, but by choice, yours and mine. Will you accept this bond freely, or will you break it and walk away?" The mark on her shoulder pulsed, waiting. The ocean held its breath. Marina looked at Morrigan, still trapped in the retreating tide, his face twisted with rage. Then at the castle behind her, the pack watching from the walls. Then at Kieran, vulnerable and honest, and hers if she wanted him. She touched the mark. "Break it." Kieran's face went pale, but he nodded. "As you wish. Break it," she repeated, "so you can mark me again. The right way." Understanding dawned. "Hope." She offered her shoulder. "Ask me, Alpha King." His claws extended, slicing through the old mark. It hurt less than she expected. Or perhaps she'd learned to endure pain. Blood welled up, hers and his mixing on her skin. "Will you be my mate?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. "My partner, my equal, my choice?" "Yes." The word felt like freedom. "Mark me, claim me, but know that I claim you too." The new mark burned brighter than the first, settling into her skin like coming home. The bond snapped back into place, but this time, it felt different. Balanced. Right. The ocean roared its approval, waves crashing but not attacking. The earth hummed beneath them. Marina turned to face Morrigan, Kieran's hand in hers. "You wanted a treaty? Here's a new one. The land and sea are bound through me now. Attack one, and you face both. Touch this kingdom, and the ocean itself will turn against you." Morrigan's lip curled. "This isn't over, little pearl." "Yes," she said softly. "It is." The water swallowed him whole, dragging him back to the depths. His army followed, shadows dissipating in the morning light. Silence fell over the beach. Kieran pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. "Don't ever scare me like that again. Can't promise that. I'm half ocean now. We're unpredictable." He laughed, and it sounded like relief, like joy, like home. From the castle walls, the pack began to howl. A song of victory, of welcome, of acceptance. Marina looked out at the sea, then back at her mate. "I choose this. I choose you. Every day I'll choose you. And I choose to deserve that choice," Kieran murmured against her lips. "Every day, I'll try to deserve you." The mark glowed warm between them, not burning, not binding, but connecting. Two worlds, one bond, freely given. Finally she was home.